I saw my father went through a lot of a bout of depression, which really hit him hard. And what I never mentioned, my mum and dad ended up divorcing when I was 15, and I moved in with my dad full time. And he kind of went through a big bout of depression. So that's when I actually recognised what depression was.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought I was feeling, I couldn't even describe it at the time. I never had the vocabulary to describe it at the time. But that kind of darkness of my mind and emotions, that never left me for a long time, to certain points where I was actually suicidal. But thankfully, nothing came of any of that. And it wasn't until I recognised that I'd heard of people going for counselling and stuff, and that's what took me to the church. So, okay, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what I need, to go get some counselling to try and sort out whatever's wrong with my head. That was my thinking at the time.
Now, before you went and got the counsel, went to church, you did say you tried to get away from the gangs. How did you try to do that?
So, as I say, I came away from when I had my wee boy, and I thought, okay, I'm going to try and I managed to get. I left school at 16. I managed to get a place with a civil engineering company to do a HNC with them as an apprenticeship, which they then took me on to university. That lasted 6 months because I got bored. But I knew I had to do something else. I was just going to be on the streets all the time. Because although I was getting bored, I also wanted to have some money, and I knew I'm going to need to make it legally at some kind of way. And like I said, I was quite intelligent for the lack of common sense. So I went to an engineering college, and they sent me on a placement, and I got a job as a CNC turner in the kind of manufacturing engineering industry. And then when my wee boy was born, I was 23, and they made me a manager. So I thought, okay, I kind of came away from going out quite a lot. I still kept my friends, and still I stopped doing the illegal activity that I was doing at the time, and just focused on trying to be a dad to him. But that didn't last very long, because his mum and I split up very early on in his life. He was still a baby when we split up. And that kind of left me. I thought to get him, so I'd get him at the weekends and make sure I was still very much in his life. So I had him 2.5 days a week. So even though I kind of came away from the kind of gangland culture, the friends I was friends with were still involved in a lot of stuff that was very gang orientated without actually being on the streets kind of fighting. It was actually more dangerous because it was almost at the upper level, because when we got involved in altercations, people were seriously hurt. People have died. People were in long-term injuries. There was attempted murders. Like I said, people were wanting to shoot me. People had kicked my door in, put my windows in of my house, tried to run me over in cars. Like I said, I've been stabbed multiple times. It was getting serious. But we got good at being able to take the spotlight off us and kind of do it in secret, again, wearing another mask. But I was just far too much of a hothead. So once, like, if anybody said something or came against us, I was the first one that would cause a scene and end up getting into trouble. And I thought then that made me even more depressed. So I was like, how can I be a dad and still do this? Until the very last one, where I just knew something had to change.
So you came to the point anyway, you said, well, look, I need some help here. And your friend David York had been on it for several years to come to church. He didn't want to know about it. You said, can you get me some help? He said, yes, I can, but you'll have to come to church. Do you think he tricked you?
100%. David is an out-and-out evangelist. He knew exactly what he was doing. And I've used that trick multiple times since.
Okay. So you said you went anyway, and the church was quite a surprise for you by the sound of it.
Yeah, like I wasn't raised in a kind of a church environment. My mum would say that she believed in a God, but never wouldn't have called herself a Christian. My dad was raised as a Roman Catholic, but came away from the Catholic Church, and he started going back to the Catholic Church when I was 16. I kind of went along with him a few times, but some of the stories that the priest told was nice, but there was nothing in it. It just felt really dull and dead. And that's not, I'm not trying to speak bad about any of that. It's just that was my experience of that particular congregation. And even at school, when it came to Christmas and Easter, when you have to go to the Christmas and Easter services, I would find a way of not being at school that day.
So you weren't impressed then by all the religious things going on then?
No, it felt like that was for the people who have got it all together. That's what it looked like from the outside. And then the kind of experience I did have, it just felt, I don't know, it just didn't feel for me.
And what was different about this church that you went to?
People looked really happy. And what the other thing that I noticed was it wasn't just maybe like kind of middle age to older people. There was people of all ages, children to teenagers. There was families. There was young adults. There was like multiple different nationalities all together, really having a good time. And I was not expecting it. I have to be honest. Like when David says come to church, I just kept saying, so when are you going to introduce me to the counsellor? Like, when are you going to let me see the counsellor? Like, just wait till the service is finished. Like, wait till we get there. If we see him before the service, I'll introduce you. But just wait till the service is finished. It was just that I felt like I was in a trance almost for the life of the service. It felt so surreal, but in a really good way.
Yeah.
He's coming. Jesus is coming. I can't wait to hear the trumpet call. He's coming. Jesus is coming. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all.
Life Stories.
Life Stories Worldwide is brought to you every Monday night at 8 p.m. UK time. We broadcast live on Facebook, Zoom and YouTube. So why not join us every Monday night at 8 p.m. UK time. So you met the wonderful counsellor, Jesus himself.
I really did.
What was that experience like for you?
Like that it felt like there was like a massive weight lifted off my shoulders. Like the weight of being me was lifted. Like all the stuff that I knew that I was carrying inside, all the dark stuff. Like, yeah, there was a process afterwards of really being healed from that and repenting from that and being forgiven for it. But it felt like a massive weight was lifted off, and this feeling that I felt when I came into the service that I couldn't describe, that peace, that's never left.
Wow.
Even through, like, life has not been easy, life has been a roller coaster, but that peace has never left.
Now, you also said you've never had a fight since. How does that feel?
Like, do you know one of my favorite testimonies and my favorite things is when I've been pastoring people or meeting people in the church and I share a little bit of my story and they go, I could never imagine you like that. That makes me smile because that just shows you what God has done, because it's not me.
Well, I'm glad I met you now, not then.
My wife says the same.
Now, you mentioned Grace quite a bit, so tell us a little bit about Grace and how you met her.
So Grace, she's Congolese, and she's from Congo, and she'd been in Glasgow since she was about 13. So she was actually one of the stewards who was serving that night. And when we came into the service, we did what every new person did. We sat at the back and hid. But my big mate David, who had brought me to church, he went to the bathroom. And as he went to the bathroom, here was this Congolese lady that I had never met in my life, tapped me on my shoulder and she goes, "This is your first night here, isn't it?" Yeah, come down the front. And she took me down the front. Now, she can't remember that, but I remember it. I'll never forget that day.
And the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, but as I said, like a few months later, I started serving in church and became part of the student team. So we were serving together and just became really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple of years later, we realised it was more than that. And
I was going to say, people must see something in you, because you said when you were at work, they made you a manager at 23.
Yeah.
So then when you were in the church, you were made an assistant pastor and became the pastor. Then you became the assistant dean of the Bible college. Mm-hmm. So what do you think people saw in you?
Something that I didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, like, I think it was the first couple of months after giving my life to Jesus, and one of the pastors, Phil, he was a young adult pastor. Like, I was 29 when I became a Christian, so I wasn't that much of a young adult. Mm-hmm. But because he knew David, he took some interest in me, and he met me, and he looked, and he's like, "I really think that you're called to be a pastor." And I says, "I really think you're insane." Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no way that that's what I'm meant to be. I don't know what I'm meant to be. Like, I didn't really know what pastor was at the time, to be honest. I just knew that they had to deal with a lot of people's rubbish, and I didn't want that. But obviously, God's got a sense of humour, and he knew. So I think people tend to see that there was something in me that maybe I couldn't see. Again, when I did give myself to things, I gave everything to it when I was there. So I tend to pick things up and could get relatively good at whatever I put my hand to. So there was obviously some natural gifting that God had placed in there. So I think people saw that. Mm-hmm. And if I was your friend, I was a really good friend. Excellent. That was in the workplace outside. I was both within the workplace and outside. So like that helped me work my way up. And so yeah, I think people just saw stuff in me that I didn't see.
Well, through all the fighting and depression and everything else, you still got yourself. You had a very good job. You're an engineer. Yeah, you managed to do that. I know the teacher said what you were good academically, but had no common sense. So you came to this point in your life. You had a good job, and somebody was saying, "Well, you're going to be a pastor." Was that a big decision for you? You said you had to leave the job.
By the time that I made it wasn't. It was a big decision in terms of the impact it had in my life, but it didn't feel like it was a big decision I had to make. Like, by that time, I was all in with Jesus. So he basically could have told me to do anything, and I would have done it. Mm-hmm. At that point, I was just because I'd experienced what life was like before. I'd experienced what life was like without faith. I'd experienced what life was like before Jesus. So I knew, well, I don't want that. So if you're going to be my Lord, and you're going to be with me, then I want everything that you've got in store. I want it all, even if I don't understand it. I just do whatever it is you want me to do, because if I do what I want to do, I'm just going to cause more damage. Mm-hmm. So I think I was very fortunate to kind of click on that at an early age, and I had again some really good shepherds around me to show me grace when it was needed, but also to disciple me in the right direction. So when my wife and I started dating, and we were actually at a leaders conference in February, and she saw, like, kind of prophetically, kind of in a vision, saw a crown getting put on my head, and she's like, "You, like, whatever God's calling you to do, you need to go for it, and I'll be there with you." So that kind of really made the decision much easier. So I knew the HNC and counselling was coming to an end that year, and it was a no-brainer to go to the Bible college to do the 2 years of the leadership course.
Now, for somebody who may be watching tonight, or maybe later on at a later stage on the video, and they're at that position that they're stepping out, what advice could you give them?
What about it is, don't make any decisions on your own. Like, please pray about it. But even if you're scared, even if it seems completely, pray about it. But get some trusted, mature Christians around you, Be part of. I really encourage you to be part of a church family. No church is perfect. Just be part of one. Be part of one that really believes the Bible, is follow the Bible, and get some mature Christians around you who and listen to them. Be teachable. That's one of the big things I'd say is be teachable.
Life Stories. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Life Stories at Lunch, where you can see and hear many more life stories. Don't forget to click the bell so we can notify you when we are live on YouTube.
Teachable. Don't be too prideful where you won't listen to advice. Be teachable, and if you feel that you're being called into whatever type of ministry, or like, I think as Christians, we're all ministers.
Yeah.
You don't have to be full-time pastor to be in ministry. You can be in ministry in the business world, or in education, or in your community, but God wants to use you where you're at, and he has places to take you. So be obedient to him and be teachable, and allow mature other people into your life, and listen to their advice. Excellent.
Now, how does your new life compare to your former life?
They don't even look close. Like if you were to speak to my parents, so my dad, again, he was probably my biggest supporter when I became a Christian, because he probably more than anybody else, he got behind the mask and really got to see the really ugly side of me.
Yeah.
It really did show the father's love, to be honest. Like, he never knew it. Like, I always had complete acceptance from my dad. But it's night and day. Like, for me to be married with 4 children, being able to help other people, and being able to be trusted to help other people. Just last year, I went into a prison in Edinburgh to share with some of the prisoners, and I'm like, I could have been one of them. That's a really good illustration of what God's done in my life. I was on the other side, sharing with them, where I should have been one of the prisoners being shared to.
And did you manage to get to share your new life with your sisters as well?
Yeah, so I wouldn't say they're Christians, but like I said, when my nephew died last year, like my little sister, we're very close, but both my sisters were close now, but it really brought us closer together. And she'll tell you, like, I became a rock for her. And again, I don't think it was me. I know that I became a rock for her because I was leaning on my rock. It was Jesus.
Well, you've made many decisions in your life, some good ones and some bad ones. And I always ask this question to the guests on the program. Of all the decisions that you have made in your life, what is the best decision you ever made?
Saying yes to Jesus. Other than that, proposing to my wife. But I think, yeah, I always say my day of salvation will always be the best day of my life, only because everything else that came after that would not have happened. Like, I couldn't celebrate being married to my wife if I wasn't saved. I couldn't celebrate baptizing my oldest son if I wasn't saved. I couldn't celebrate the birth of my other children if I wasn't saved. I couldn't celebrate being a pastor and helping other people. Jesus never saved my life. So the best decision I ever made was saying no to myself and saying yes to Jesus.
Well, thank you so much, Andy, for your story. Thank you for being honest and candid. And of course, thank you for speaking to us here at Life Stories Worldwide.
Thank you for having me.
Now, with that, I'm just going to bring my brother Alan back in.
Thank you.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Andy. It's been great having you on our broadcast today. We really appreciate you and the way you shared your story. Been a blessing. Wonderful. One or two comments. One said, iron sharpens iron. Love the honesty. Jeremiah 29:11. our mess turns into a wonderful message and relates to so many because of our honesty. Someone says, wear our armor of God. Shalom Alever says, beautiful. People totally listen to us who've been through different situations. It's a blessing and relates to so many because of our honesty. Those are some of the comments that we received. And I think I told you already, 3 people already have clicked the salvation prayer link. So thank you so much. And thank you all for being with us. And if you need help, then go to our website, LifeStoriesWorldwide.com. You'll find lots of things that can help you. You'll find a Bible app that you can download for your own private devotions. You'll also find how can I get to know God? You can click on that and learn more. And if you need help, then contact us on our hotline, +44 794 355 0287. Just to remind you that these stories can be watched over and over again if you go to our YouTube channel, Life Stories at Lunch. And we encourage you to subscribe to that channel and encourage your friends to subscribe as well. And don't forget to click on the subscription notification, the bell, so you know when we're coming live. And again, if you want to listen to these stories, go to Life Stories Worldwide Radio on Spotify, and you can listen to these as you're walking, jogging, driving your car, or like Bill Keith does in the gym. So thank you for being with us. And I invite you to join us again next Monday, 8 o'clock UK time. Next Monday, we have a testimony from the United States, from Texas. We have a former Dallas Cowboy, he was 11 years a professional football player. That's American football, of course. And in his career, he learned many experiences and has got much wisdom, which he shares in everyday life. And he brings a story of faith and hope, and which encourages the listeners that no matter what life throws at them, there is something good that comes out of it. But then he says, you've got to believe. And so please join us next week, 8 o'clock UK time. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, George. Thank you, Howard. May God bless you all. May you know the peace of God that passes all human understanding. And may the joy of Jesus fill your hearts. Bye, everybody. Bye.
He's coming. Jesus is coming. I can't wait to hear the trumpet call. He's coming. Jesus is coming. And when he comes, we'll crown him Lord of all.